L&T Infotech IPO has opened today. We heard the management earlier talking about the business, the growth opportunities. Let's get in an analyst view as to one should subscribe to this IPO or not. Sarabjit Kaur Nangra, VP Research at Angel Broking, now joins us. Sarabjit, would you want to subscribe to the L&T Infotech IPO? How would you look at this IPO? It's a fully offer for sale, and we earlier heard the management that growth rates in Europe would tend to improve.
See, if I look at L&T Infotech in a holistic manner, let me point out what the pluses of the business is. Plus of the business is that they have obviously the parentage is pretty strong, as we know. Apart from that, the strong point in the business per se is that they are conscious, ROE conscious firm. They have been, it's on a prima facie business, it's nothing differentiating from any other mid-cap IT company. It has a high client concentration, which is its negative also, but currently it's giving its visibility in terms of revenue and hence increasing its ROEs. Asset to turnovers and ROEs. Apart from that, it's very much skewed towards banking in terms of domain banking, financials, and to a very large extent to energy. So primary facie business as such is not very exciting. The only part positive about the company is that they are very ROE conscious in terms of making sure that the asset to turnover is higher. But the flip side is that the client concentration, it's coming at the expense of higher client concentration. So I don't take it very positively, that aspect of it. But the other aspect which has kept the ROEs or ROIC, if I have to compare like to like for across the industry higher than their peers, is that it gives out cash significantly out to shareholders. Its trend has been that to give out at least 70% or more to shareholders in form of dividend, which none of the IT companies do to that large extent. TCS does to the extent of 50%. So that is what keeps its ROEs higher. Now coming to why we like the issue, we are not very aggressively pushing it, but yeah, it's a subscribe for us because we believe that valuation at which it is coming, it's left some room for investors to get into and make decent amount of money. But I don't think there is extraordinary anything different that L&T Infotech per se has as a business model vis-a-vis its peers. It is a good dividend paying company, so the dividend yield investors can expect can be 4%, and capital gains because of the valuation at which it is coming is 13 times FY16 trailing, if I analyze a nine months number that they've given. So roughly around 13 times, and most of its peers are trading at around 15 to 18 times on the higher side. So I think 18 will be too much, but 15, even if I assign it, I think there is decent upside available. And plus retail investors are getting 1% extra because of the pricing for retail. So I think it's not a very great issue, but yeah, it's a decent issue in recent times where at least the company coming with IPO has left something for the investors also. Otherwise, most of the IPOs recent past which have come in are very tightly priced, wherein there was nothing much for investors to actually get into and make some money out of it. So I think from that perspective, the issue is good to get subscribed to. Otherwise, there are risks, and a pretty huge risk that the company runs because of the sheer size and because of the way they are doing the business, which includes, as I mentioned, high client risk. It mentioned also there are client risk in terms of their largest client is 14 to 16% of its revenue, which is comparatively very high and very risky. We have seen in many companies wherein major clients, when they pull off, the performance gets deteriorated. So the risks are very high, but the valuation at which they are coming, I think they are kind of given investors a bit of room to play. So that's why it's a subscribe. Otherwise, I think it's just like any other IT mid-cap IT company actually.
Right. If you just compare this company to some of the other mid-cap names, don't you think it's better off to own those mid-cap names rather than taking this company? So Tech Mahindra is trading at 14 times versus L&T Infotech at 13, and Mphasis, which is a similar model, is trading at about 13.5 times. Don't you think that should be taken for a long-term bet, or you are just looking at short to medium term in terms of gains coming in because of the IPO?
See, as I said, the plus point that the company has done towards shareholder has been that track record says good dividend paying out company, which is not the norm in IT. whether you take large caps or mid caps, that's the plus. Other plus is pricing that they have done. Now, the comparing it to other peers, as you said, whether you're better off. Now, the thing is, Tech Mahindra is not a mid cap, so it's becoming one of the size is pretty. The difference between L&T Infotech and Tech Mahindra is huge, so I can't compare both these companies. The nearest closest one is what you said is Mphasis. Though I don't track Mphasis as an analyst, what I know according to the business model again is that it's high client concentration, and most of the problem that plagues most of the ID companies in the mid cap space. So I guess those are the risks which are inherent there, and though valuations are similar, the only plus points the L&T Infotech has is high ROE vis-a-vis Mphasis, and obviously a growth track record which is much better than Mphasis. So I guess probably they will get away over there, in comparing with the closer peer, and still getting at least. That's what I say. The room is limited, but there is a little room available. That's why it's a subscribe for us.
As far as the overall, IT pack itself is concerned, one would say that earnings outlook is slightly lower. We have Infosys declaring numbers in just a while from now. Expectations are not that great from any of the IT companies. In that context, do you believe IT sector may underperform? So, the issue may not, see great returns coming in?
So the thing is that being a fundamental analyst, I don't look at events from stock movement perspective, and obviously those events are not something which I can because see, in many stocks the thing would be the stock might react before earnings come in. So these event risks are not something which a fundamental analyst will ever put a probability on, and I think it's a futile exercise also in the first place to do, because being a fundamental analyst, I would be more taking a comfort in the business model and the numbers that the company is throwing rather than the quarterly part of it. See, the thing is, one more thing, that trend I've noticed in most large IT companies, at least in TCS, Infosys, which have now realized that they moved from one part of the leg of the growth. Now they have to move on to the another one, which demands them to get into clients. If you look at the client mining of HCL, you look at TCS, Infosys, they have good order book positions on their books, and that's why the virtue of being one of the good top-notch outsourcing leaders. So the quarterly trend is also in terms of volume. The only variation that we see nowadays is because of exchange rate. But if you track the volume that is happening in most of these large companies, they're doing very good 3 to 4% Q on Q growth, which I think is very good. So seasonality is dying out in many companies actually. So I think that trend or that call to take could be riskier. So I'm just putting a perspective. Otherwise, I would never advocate anybody buying any stock just because on the event that's going to play out and put a probability on it. It's better to play on the numbers that the company is going to dish out and the valuation that you're paying, because at the end of the day, when I buy a stock, it's a company business model and the money that I'm paying for. These are the only two variables available. The rest of them is something which you can't put your money on, because it's like market risk which nobody can put their exact amount on. So I wouldn't like investors to play that actually, at least for any issue or any IPO or for any matter for investment in the equity. So I wouldn't go with that thought process.
Right. Let's talk about the pharma pack. So, for Cadila, for Lupin, for Alembic, we did see EIR coming in, which is, of course, a closure of the Form 483 that we had seen earlier, which has come in good time. So, they've not taken a lot of time versus some of, the historic companies have. True. Do you think the concerns over there are easing out? You think pharma is a space that now you would look to be overweight on?
Pharma per se, we have been overweight only. Initially, when the stocks, currently now more so, rather than as you rightly said, because the thing is, most of these companies, even if you look at Lupin, I think 6 months or more than 6 months back was flying non-stop one direction. Cipla was flying one direction. After the news flows of 483 and other things came in, their performance quarterly growth numbers were lower. The stock most of the stock have taken a severe beating. So I believe, right time to get into these stocks, and actually most of these stocks, large companies like Lupin, as you rightly point out, even Cadila for that matter, Sun Pharma, one of the great blue chips in pharma, it's still available, decent valuations to provide a comfort to investors. So I think it's large caps like Dr. Reddy's. There are many stocks which are currently, because of US FDA concerns, are trading at valuations which are actually very attractive for investors to get in. As far as Alembic Pharma is concerned, currently we are neutral on the stock. The company has a potential, but as I said, it's a small to mid cap company. So what is the beauty of large cap companies? They are getting more revenues from the US, so that they take a huge beating when such news flow comes in. But they have their risk management ability and their, as you rightly said, track flow, where they cover up these issues faster also. So they have the bandwidth now to cover up or overcome such problems. Whereas in case of companies like Ipca Labs and Alembic, which are mid caps, their resources in terms of manufacturing base even is not so diversified. So if one plant goes for a 483 or import alert, their business gets dried up for 1 or 2 years. So these are good companies, but they take long time because of various issues, non-diversification of manufacturing facilities and other issues. So I think it's a good time to get overweight on pharma. Alembic Pharma, since you asked, we are neutral. Rest of the stocks that Lupin, Cadila, Sun Pharma, we are buyer in these stocks.
Right. Sarabjit, thank you so much for joining us here this morning. Hope to speak to you again once we get the details of the listing of L&T Infotech as well as some of the numbers from the IT pack. We are taking a break. We are coming back in 2 minutes.